finding clients was easy. Finding good talent was remarkably hard. And I'm thrilled to say that I've built a wonderful team now, but we learned a lot of lessons in doing it.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast. My name is Brett Gilliland. I'll be your host today. And as always, we're bringing an in the trenches, been there, done that, doing it right now business owner. Her name is Amanda Proscia. Amanda is the co-founder of Lightning PR and Marketing. Uh, I'll let her tell more about that here in a minute, but I also want to mention that she is an author and has a book that she can tell us about as well. Amanda, welcome to the show today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, it's always an honor to have a business owner who's doing the thing come on the show and talk about things that has really helped them in their journey and things that they are wrestling with. We know that it's not all roses at the end of the day. We've got stuff that we're dealing with, and as we talk about those real things, it helps. Hopefully, it'll help you, but it also help all the other business owners listening. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about Lightning PR and Marketing? Why don't you tell us about your book, and then we'll jump into some of your shares.
Actually, the agency is Lightspeed
Oh
PR and
my
Marketing.
gosh,
Although, I
Lightspeed.
like to say that we have a lot of traits in common with Lightning, so I don't mind the change there. Yes, so the agency is we are a public relations and marketing firm about a decade old, and we focus entirely on tech clients from all kinds of tech. So B2B, B2C, health tech, environmental. We do financial, ad tech, anything you can think of. And we have a wonderful agency that's fully remote. So my team is all over the country and all over the world. And we just we like to say we work at light speed for getting results for our clients.
I love your name, and I'm truly embarrassed, Amanda. And I don't mind saying this on the air. As a parent of several children who are now older, like we watched a bunch of those Buzz Lightyear movies, and I'm sure that I had that on my brain. Anyway, Lightspeed. That's
Yeah.
what we need to Lightspeed, Lightspeed, Lightspeed. I'm going to keep saying that. Okay, Lightspeed Marketing, Lightspeed PR and Marketing. And you've been doing this a long time, and you have a great team. You've built something amazing, and we would like to hear you talk about your book briefly, and then I want to talk about some of the lessons you've learned as you've grown this business.
Yeah, thank you. So I wrote a book called PR Confidential. It's available on Amazon, or for your listeners, they can go to my website, lightspeedpr.com, and there's a free download available on our website.
Awesome.
It's basically a fun, quick, and easy read about what PR is, especially doing tech. I answer the same questions about 50 times a week of, clients who call me and say, oh, my investors tell me I need PR, but I don't know what it is. So it's kind of a primer on all things PR, and it's 90 pages real quick, and it's written like in an advice column format. So I just have people ask me in the book all those questions that I get all the time, and then I answer them. And there's a lot of laughs, but a lot of practical information too.
What a great way to put together a book. What are people always asking me? Here it is. Yeah, very smart. It doesn't surprise me that you're helping people with their PR when you have good moves like that for yourself. Okay, so as you look back on your personal growth as Lightspeed PR and Marketing has grown, if if you were to pick like one of the biggest lessons learned or things that could help others who are growing, what could we talk about today that would be useful?
Yeah, I think it's people. It's funny when my co-founder and I started, we had a couple of clients. We both had decades of experience. We just handled everything. But as we grew, it was just not possible. You only have a certain number of hours in the day. And we often joked about the fact that finding clients was easy. Finding good talent was remarkably hard. And I'm thrilled to say that I've built a wonderful team now, but we learned a lot of lessons in doing it.
Okay, I love that you've picked this topic of all the many things you've learned over the years, because I'm with you. People are right at the heart of being able to grow a good business. Certainly, a key component to building a great business. And at first, you do the friends and family thing often, or you put out a help wanted sign. And you kind of cross your fingers and hope that the right people come, and then you have to develop to being able to capably attract and bring in great people who are going to contribute in awesome ways for your business. So what have you learned, Amanda, about let's assume, I know this is a huge assumption, but let's assume that everybody listening is good at attracting the people that they want. We'll just assume that. So let's talk about like how you decide, how you identify of all the candidates coming in, who's going to fit well with your business, and then how do you set them up for success as they come in?
So we've developed a couple of ways over the years. So like I said, we're tech focused. So a big part of it is tech competency and tech interest. You really can't serve my clients unless you have some kind of fluency in what they're doing. So we do kind of a multi-layered interview process where my co-founder, who's a, kind of a tech savant, he does the first round where he gauges those levels. Can these people really get in the trenches with our client and understand what they're doing and also have a passion for it? We call that the hard skills. Do they have the hard skills? If they do, then they move on to an interview with me and I interview for the soft skills. You know, do they have all the people engaging qualities that they can sit on a Zoom call and make a client feel like they're a steady hand at the wheel, make our clients feel like they have someone who cares about their business and their problems are keeping us up at night too, and all of those interactions. Are they going to make it a good teammate? Are they going to be someone who my junior staff can learn from, can grow with us? So it's kind of a two-tiered approach of vetting both of those sides of a candidate.
So can they do the job, and can they do it in the way that matches with your team and serves your clients well, right? Sometimes we talk about that as hiring to the values. I imagine you guys have done some work to identify what does it mean to be a Lightspeed team member.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very
so
much.
how do you figure that stuff out? I mean, I think your co-founder, and this is just me. I know you appreciate what he does to be
Yeah.
able to like vet those candidates for can they do the technical side. But to me, that's the easier side of the job. It's like, can you do these things or not? We can test for that. We can talk about that. We can assess capability. But on the soft side, as you put it, how do you really assess whether or not somebody's going to be a good fit with your team and with and serve your clients well? What do you do that really helps you identify those traits or those values in people?
It's a whole variety of things that come across when you're talking to someone, but a lot of it is their level of confidence. You know, how comfortable do they make me feel when I'm talking to them that they know what they're talking about, that they're going to be able to handle a difficult situation. Do they make good eye contact? Do they giggle a lot? Do they look visibly nervous? And you allow for some of that, of course, during a job interview. But a lot of it is those that poise and that confidence of knowing that some of my clients do have big issues that they face, and can this person get on a call with that client and make them feel confident that we're handling it and we have the skills and the expertise to do the job.
Okay, so once and well, let me ask more directly here. Do you feel like you have a fairly objective way of measuring those things, or are you going off of I have the experience, I know what it looks like when I see it, a little bit more intuition or gut, if you will? Like, what combination of like, I've got more objective criteria I'm looking for versus I just need to feel this out.
It's probably more instinctive. I've spent my 30 plus year career working with people, and I kind of have a genuine personal interest in people. It's why I love literature and I love all the people studies. So it's the types of things that you notice, and I even if people aren't aware that they're noticing, those are the indicators that will be the difference between my client being happy with the leader I've given them or calling me and saying I can't work with this person.
Yeah.
So when the latter happens, I have a big problem. So I have to interview people in the shoes of my clients and think how are they going to portray themselves and present themselves and manage themselves when they're dealing with my clients.
Yeah, yeah. So you just have this well-defined, what I'll call a spidey sense, right? Like you kind of know, and it's not all intuition. You're asking questions, they're answering, but as you observe, you're getting a really good feel. But it's not necessarily a capability that you have outlined in some sort of documentation that you can hand off to another team member. It's just you've developed a really good skill of being able to tell.
You think that might be it? And it's funny because my business partner, who is excellent at the tech side, I'll see things in a candidate that will be a red flag, and he won't have noticed them.
Yeah.
So that's why I think we're a very good pair in that, because he knows all the right questions to ask on the capability side, but on the whether or not this person is a right fit, it's harder for him to discern. And it really it just comes down to the person and what you're looking for, I guess, or what you've been attuned to notice.
Yeah, well, it's great. That makes a great partnership. You guys can rely on each other for each other's strengths in that regard. Not every business owner has that I don't know, privilege or luxury or whatever that other person to help them vet. So if they're doing it by themselves, I think what we've said is, hey, we got to get really clear on what are the success criteria or the qualifications from a skill standpoint and experience standpoint, and then what is that other side of it that's going to affect the client experience, the teamwork or the team environment, how maybe emotionally resilient they are when they deal with challenges. There's a lot of those softer skill things that they have to get good at if they don't have a partner who can 1-2 punch the way that you guys are doing. Um, our time's running a little bit short on this portion, Amanda, but I'd like to get one more thing from you before we switch gears. Could you talk to us about what you found to be helpful once you find a right fit, and you're bringing them on board? What have you found to be a key practice or two to help them be successful as soon as possible in the role?
We have actually, in my agency, we've developed a training, and it's not just for clients. For employees, we've developed an employee training, and we developed a client training, PR 101. So when people join us, as on the other side, we put them through a couple hours long training of how best to work with us. And when it comes to employees, it's learning our systems, learning our core values, learning how we interact with each other all day, um, giving them a good sense of what we prioritize and what success means to us. And it's an actual course curriculum that we put everyone through. And then we rely heavily on things like tools like Asana and Slack sharing. We do a lot of Loom videos where, if something's difficult to understand, whoever is the expert at it creates a Loom and shares it across. So we try very hard not to leave anybody to chance or leaving anybody on their own. We try very hard to give them all a fairly robust toolbox of resources to go to.
Yeah, I love the come from on that. The place you're coming from is, hey, we know how to do a lot of stuff in this business. We serve clients in lots of ways. let's not let's not leave that in the ether for people to figure out each time. Let's, if it's a process or I don't know, a project step, and we can capture that in Loom. Now we've done it and captured it, and it can be reviewed and replicated many times by many people. And so I love that idea of, let's give them the foundational pieces of PR 101. Here's our values, here's how we work with one another, and then let's give them the tools for in the job that they can reference to just hit the ground running as best as possible. So I love those practices. Thank you for sharing those with us. Okay, so let's shift gears. Amanda, you've talked about some things you've learned that have helped you and your business grow over the years. Um, you're still in the process of figuring things out and growing a business. And so, in the spirit of getting real, getting vulnerable a little bit, sharing something that I might be able to help with that could help others. What would you like to discuss along those lines today?
Um, I just a little more guidance on what you'd
Yeah,
love for me to.
yeah. So before we hit record, we talked about how I think you said you have a team that's distributed. They're
Yes.
yeah. So let's just talk about the realities of having a distributed team
Yes.
and different levels of experience, leadership, etc. I think you teed it up well. Let's just do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, as I mentioned, my team is fully remote. We have people at all different levels. We have several full-time employees who are newer in their career. We also have a handful of contractors who have expertise, or, they're subject matter experts. Everybody's in various geographies, different time zones. We're interacting with each other largely over digital channels. So, helping people to grow, interact with each other, make sure they're answering any client or business questions in a timely fashion. All of those things our daily challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I think that's applicable to lots of people. So I'd like to dig in on that a little bit more. Um, Tell me what it looks like when it's going well, when all of the communication, the teaming, the individual development, like when it's going well. How do you know that it's going well? And then like how does that feel to you as the leader?
I try to, hopefully, I know it's going well because I stay very close in contact with my team. My business partner and I both oversee about half of the business each, and we stay very closely attuned with the teams. We have client Slack channels for every client, both internal and client facing, so we can stay up on all the nitty gritty of what's happening. I also do biweekly check-ins over Zoom with everyone on my team, and those are just their time just to tell me how they're feeling, what's going on, what problems are they facing, what's going well, what would they like to try that they're not working on. And then I work very hard to um, solve problems and get them opportunities that they need. That's, I hope, when it's going well, we see sort of we're firing on all pistons. The clients are happy, the teams are communicating. There's no big black holes anywhere, and no one's calling me in tears. That's that's a good
Yeah.
week for me.
There you go. The tier indicator, right? Is it? Yeah. So when the team is doing well, firing on all cylinders, there's performance. The clients are happy. Like that's when you know it's all working. Um, and wouldn't it be nice if it were that way 100% of the time? And we don't need to hear what percent of the time it's going that way, but I get the sense that most of the time it's like that. But let's shift gears a little bit and talk about what do you notice? What types of things happen when it's not going well?
Um, when it's really not going well, I get a phone call from one of my clients. That's the last thing you want.
Yeah.
Um, Other indicators are, I'm seeing client questions going unanswered for hours and hours, or God
Mm.
forbid, days. Or I have junior members of my team telling me I'm just not getting in the information I need. I'm not getting the guidance I need. Um, I have a client who's being a little more aggressive with me than they need to be. They're frustrated. I don't feel like I'm the right person to be doing the job that I'm doing. I need more help, or the person who's supposed to be helping me just isn't. Those are those are
Those
usually the
those are some
symptoms.
good telltale signs, right? When it's not going well. And
Right.
and not to generalize too much, but I heard you get some signals from the client, right? There's some client signals that come in, or you
Mm,
get some team signals that suggest we're not operating optimally in this instance, right? And again, that doesn't mean it's happening all the time, but when it does, it's like, oh, something's off.
right.
Um, it's kind of like if something in your body isn't quite right, you got a shoulder ache or a knee or something. It's like I can still move, I can still function, but not the way that I want to. I don't have full range of motion, and I don't have that feeling of good health, and so something needs to be done. And so maybe we go to the physical therapist or a chiropractor, whatever. Like we address the issues to the best of our ability. So in our business, it's kind of the same. We want to take all these parts. We've got all these people distributed across time zones and different levels of experience, and we want to take targeted, coordinated action. Right? We want all of us to move together as one body that's moving so effortlessly. I think of that Boys in the Boat movie, that book and movie that came out recently. Is like, how do we take 8 rowers in one boat with that coxswain at the front barking orders? How do we move as one? That's really what we're trying to do in our businesses. And sometimes something will be just off, and it might be a one person or our coordination or our not in sync. And so I love the descriptions that you gave. Um, what I'd like to share maybe some thoughts about how do we increase the level of targeted coordinated action so we don't get those client signals or those team member signals. But before we get into some possible ideas, um, as one of the co-founders, what does it feel like, what are some of the emotions you experience when something's off? You're like, oh, they got that squeaky wheel in the team, or we got this complaining client. Like, are you dialed in enough to how that feels to try to put some words to that for others?
Yeah, I mean, it's always frustration, of course. It's consternation because, we like to feel like we have ourselves set up well and things should be going well, and when they're not, it's, you feel like you're running up against a wall. And then sometimes it's a little anger because you feel like, you threw the ball to somebody and they dropped it. And, now I got to go in, I got to go clean up this mess. I have to fix what the problem is. There's a lot of feeling like the wrong domino fell.
Yes. Oh, I love that description. The wrong domino fell. And I don't know that I've asked similar questions of other people. I don't know that anybody's ever articulated the emotion of consternation. But I think that's such a good description. It's like, no wonder you're in PR, Amanda. You got just the right words to say. Consternation. It's like this mix of frustration and concern and maybe even some anger sometimes. Like we didn't build it that way, but so why is it why is it happening that way? And we get a little worked up. Okay, well, thank you for being open enough to share some of that. I think it helps us all relate to that issue, and it puts us right there because we've all been there. We're like, we've got a process. We hire good people, we train them, and then this happens. Why? Why did that happen? So, anyway, let's talk about ways that we can try to minimize that. I don't know, working with imperfect people, if we'll ever totally eliminate this stuff. But let's talk about ways that might be helpful. Um, I imagine with a team like yours, especially in a communication heavy business, you already referenced Slack, that you guys have some pretty good practices, structure, processes for communicating. Um, you have to, right, in order to deliver, bring together a bunch of people to deliver something, a unified experience for the client that gets them what they want. So in that communication, do you guys have like rhythms for how you communicate as a team?
Oh, very much so. Yes, we say we're called Lightspeed for a reason. So we promise our clients that they're going to hear back from us quickly. And some of our clients are on different platforms. Some are on Slack, some are on Teams, some are, some are in SharePoint, some just use email. So it's keeping your eye across multiple platforms all day and making sure someone is being responsive, and also making sure that the team where we are in Slack is backing you up, so that, if you've put a very important urgent question into a Slack channel for the team to weigh in on, getting back to your team member in quick order, so that they're not just left hanging, or the client's just not watching the time tick by and getting more and more frustrated with us. So yes, there's very much a kind of a sense of urgency about the way we interact with each other and with our clients. But we're also very aware that, especially for my junior team, if they spend all day just putting out fires and responding to emails, they'll never get anything else done. So we've tried to do time management seminars and worked with them closely to put little icons on their Slack channel to say, I'm heads down working on something. Don't bother me for the next hour unless it's really urgent. Otherwise, you spend the whole day with your hair on fire. So it's really trying to find that balance.
Yeah, if we were all in reaction mode all the time, we would never be able to create, right? And
Exactly.
we get to react or we get to create. So, okay, so I hear a lot of it though for you guys is solved. I'll say culturally, like we have this high sense of urgency. We're watching, we're responding quickly to our clients, and internally with one another, we're respectfully getting back to each other. Um, I'm not saying you're not doing this, but I'm going to add a couple things that might be helpful to others as well. And when I see any sort of breakdown in communication or a ball was dropped, there's a few things that could be going on. I'm not saying, or all of them might be going on. Again, not pointing a finger at you, Amanda. Just broadening this to include others. Usually, the number one breakdown is around clarity. And that clarity starts with role clarity. Like every single person knows exactly what's expected, how it will be measured, and how it aligns to company goals. Right? How their role fits into a bigger picture. The clearer we can get with our people around those measurable success criteria for their role, and this is so challenging because we sort of ask and expect people to be able to do lots of things in their role. When we post a job, we say here are, like the 12 responsibilities, and it's all listed out, and here are the prior things you've done and all these bullets. And so we turn these a single job title or a box into a huge narrative of all the stuff that you got to do in that role. And I would advise you and anybody else, if we can narrow that whole list down to the three most important things that indicate the job is getting done, and here's how it's measured. That will help people stay steered or directioned towards the most important things for that role. Doesn't mean they don't have anything else to do. It just means here's how we know you're doing it. Every week we know measure one, measure two, measure three are happening. And so I would start with clarity. The other thing I would propose as an idea for you or others is that actually you mentioned a really key practice in my opinion. You said you have I think you said biweekly check-ins or one-on-ones with your direct reports. um, I'm a fan of checking in as often as is useful. I would typically recommend weekly, but as your team gets bigger, that feels harder to do. It's like, oh, I want to do this more, but it's just hard to meet with everybody every single week. So that might actually be an indication that it's time to add some other leaders to help communication happening as often as it needs to. But the clarity on the role and then the frequent check-in to both understand how they're doing as a person, but then to have them give an accounting or self-report back to you on the expected three, right? Like, you know what winning looks like. I know what winning looks like. How are you doing against those expectations? So we're having regular check-ins. And then I guess the last thing I would throw out there is just an idea for people is what does the team rhythm around that look like? And so if that's a weekly team meeting, if it's Slack communication, we need some regular mechanism for making sure we're still coordinating, that we're all on the same page around the target outcomes. And in an agency like yours, there might be client specific groups that need to get together, right? Like for this client, everybody involved needs to get together on this frequency. And for this client over here, this, and maybe as a whole across clients, we check in however often to make sure that we're moving the business together in the way that we intend. Anyway, I appreciate you allowing me to share some principles uh, with you, but also with anybody else who might be dealing with similar things.
Yeah, all good
Amanda,
stuff.
what uh, what would you leave as a parting thought for our listeners about those who are like, man, can I really do this stuff? Can I make the changes necessary in me as a leader to level up my business? Like, what would give them reason to want to keep trying?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, every leader doubts themselves, of course. Every time something goes wrong, you take it hard and take it personally. But yeah, I'd say absolutely surround yourself with good people. Seek out advice from experts like yourself and other business leaders. I've gotten an enormous amount out of networking groups that I'm in with other people leading agencies, and there's always someone who's willing to help. So don't feel like you have to do it all by yourself, and you're probably learning and accomplishing more than you realize.
I love that last piece. I love everything you said, but you're probably learning and accomplishing more than you realize. Sometimes it's just nice to pause the bike. If you're like trying to ride up a hill, it can be very grueling. Sometimes it's just time to take a break and look back and see the progress you've made. Like you've actually come a long way, and that sometimes can fuel your belief that you can keep going to the top. So well said. Amanda, if people want to learn more about Lightspeed, I got it right this time, Lightspeed PR and Marketing, where can they go? Or if they want to connect with you on social, how would they do that?
Yeah, so again, my website is www.lightspeedpr.com. You can get a copy of the book. There's some other great resources there too, and all about us and work we do. The best place to reach me is on LinkedIn. I'm at Amanda Proscia on LinkedIn, and always love to connect to other people.
All right. Well, thank you. You've been a fantastic guest on our show today. For everybody listening, please like, share, review, comment, do all those things that will allow this episode to get in front of as many seven-figure business owners as possible. Not only to learn the lessons that Amanda shared, but also in case they need some really great PR, they might be able to benefit from what she does. Thanks for listening, and join us again next time for another episode of the Seven Figure Journey podcast.